Yes. Dear colleagues, dear friends and guests and participants of the conference, I am so glad to welcome you in the Murmansk Marine Biological Institute. Our institute is the permanent participant of this conference, and this is for the first time we had this. It's not the first time we have this conference. No, this is not the presentation I'm going to give. Actually, yes. So first of all, I would like to tell that this is an international conference, and it again proves that science has no borders, and Arctic brings together countries and people. Arctic cannot be divided, and the borders, national borders, are just lines on the map. And the challenges that we are having in the Arctic, they are common. So, and it's irresponsible to lock yourselves up within the borders of one country. So all the North Arctic countries should cooperate on safety. So this is China as an example. Territorially, it's not in the Arctic, but it has active scientific research, supports international cooperation, implements national legislation to protect the environment. So we all know about the trans-border transition of all like pollutants and other substances that can be carried out also by the streams and by air. And ecosystems in the Arctic are very fragile and it takes years to restore them. So that is why the environmental activities are very important, and mediation and mitigation work. These are the directions that we should be very careful about. So we are cooperating with that with our northern neighbors and Norway and Finland for many years. But since the military operation started, all the programs has been stopped. A large trans-border cooperation program Ecology has been stopped, and scientific programs are being stopped. All the connections are severed. Russian channels are banned. So the global West is forming an anti-Russian attitude among people, and closed borders and absence of realistic information easily allows you to form an enemy picture of Russia. As a protection from this is knowledge and being open and having direct people-to-people contact. So I hope that this conference will be one stone in this fundament for peace, cooperation, and mutual cooperation in the future. So I would like to again congratulate you with the beginning of the conference, and I hope that we will have a successful conference. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. Thank you so much. So in our program, our next speech is from the ambassador of Russia in Norway. He is a new ambassador. He started his work on the 1st of October, so you can imagine how busy he is now. But anyway, he sent us his speech on his official paper, so allow me to read this address. So to organizers and participants of the 5th International Conference Safe Northern Frontiers, the Environment, Ecology, History, and Images of the Future, I would like to cordially welcome the organizers and participants of the International Conference Safety of Northern Frontiers and Ecology, History, and Images of the Future that is held in the hospitable city of Murmansk. During the period of this work, the conference has become a useful expert forum for joint search for solutions in the high latitudes and promoting beneficial cooperation and development of the region. I would like to support the activities devoted to the 8 years of development of troops in the high north and liberation of the Northern Norway by Soviet troops. I would like to wish you fruitful work, interesting discussions, and further success in this strategically important Arctic area. Also, in the context of implementation of the tasks set by the President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, on strengthening the sovereignty and international positions of our country in the Arctic. The ambassador of Russian Federation in Norway. Now we would like to go over to our part. So just a few technical things. We are having simultaneous interpretation. The interpreters are main interpreters, Maria Petrova and Evgeny Gachenko. We have been cooperating with them for many years. They have a huge experience, so they always do a great work. So the connection is made by Vintel. This is a Russian video conference program, and so we have 20 minutes per speech. We will have both on-site speakers and online speakers. So the main keynote speaker today is about the work of Murmansk Marine Biological Institute. We have Mikhail Makarov, the director, who will make this presentation.
Dear colleagues, good morning again. Let me present you the activity of our institute in a very broad sense, talking about the global achievements. I'm not talking about the structure of the institute. I would like to just to present the overall results of our work. The institute has two major areas of research. They are marine expeditions on the Dальний Sea research vessel and onshore or coastal expeditions and work on biological station. Mostly they are experimental. This slide shows the coverage of our research by various vessels. The zone of our interest is from Greenland and to East Siberian Sea. In this period, a lot of expeditions have been made and many data have been obtained on the biota, the environment of the open part of the seas. The coastal research is limited by the Kola Peninsula shore, beginning from the Peshenga Bay in the west up to Ivanovskaya Bay in the east. Totally 22 research grounds, of them 16 are permanent, where you can where monthly trips are made. Apart from that, the institute has 3 biological stations, one on the Svalbard or Spitsbergen archipelago, in the Polarny town, Kola Bay, and in the Дальний Sea settlement. This is the station where Murmansk Marine Biological Institute used to be located. The institute currently employs 63 researchers and 7 laboratories where research is done, beginning from the environment status, oceanography, oceanography, and to various components of biota in the food chain, beginning from plankton, bacteria, zoobenthos, algae, fish, birds, marine mammals. All of that allows us to do the overall complex study of the Arctic seas biology. Just recently, the study of climate change has become relevant because the mass media are talking of the global warming, but one of the realms of Murmansk Marine Biological Station in Dальний Sea, beginning from 1935, has been systematic observation of flora and fauna changes in connection with fluctuation of climate conditions. Back in those times, temperature fluctuations were known to exist, and of course they have an impact on the biology of the Arctic seas. How those fluctuations were found? Generally, studies were done on the Kola Meridian transection beginning 1899 at Murmansk Biological Station in the Kola Bay, in the town of Alexandrovsk. What is this Kola Meridian or transection? It allows us following the inflow of Arctic warm water masses into the Arctic Ocean and North Cape Current for hydrologic regime for the southeast part of southwest part of the Barents Sea, which is rich in fish. The observations of temperature on the Kola Meridian show that there have been both positive and negative abnormalities in temperatures varying at different frequencies, and the general temperature capacity of the Barents Sea is not dependent on the general global warming, but the frequency and abnormally of these high temperatures or low temperatures related to inflow of warm Atlantic water masses in spring and summer. How this influences the biota? If we look at the inflow and the area of penetration of micro algae, we can see that there are areas A where they regularly occur, B is seldom occurring, and they have strict correlations with the distribution of water and its inflow from Atlantic. The same is with Atlantic fishes into the Barents Sea during the warm season. We can see that only during the warm season. The biomass of zoobenthos on the Kola Meridian, if we compare against relatively cold and warm periods, we can see how the biomass grows in warm season without the changes of species diversity. The same can be said about king crab. If we look at the temperature abnormalities and the amounts of fishing, and also general condition of the population, we can clearly see that they correlate in years. As the temperature grows, we can see the growth of the population. As to southeast part of the Barents Sea, the Pechora Sea, where the water masses do not reach from the Atlantic, the studies made at a distance of 20 years, 2001 and 2023, show the distribution of the species and their abundance and biomass stays practically unchanged, which shows that there is no clear polarization of this region. Everybody knows this map, distribution of Barents Sea cod in cold and warm periods. In the cold period, cod mostly goes generally towards the Bear Island, along the Kola coast, while in warm periods, the distribution of cod is much broader towards the Novaya Zemlya, Spitsbergen, and further. And in conclusion, we may say that inflow of Atlantic waters is increasing, but does not have any significant impact on the total heat content of the Barents Sea water. We cannot observe general global warming of these waters, and the higher frequency of abnormal high temperatures, when we can see a slight increase in productivity and biomass in specific species and changes of their population characteristics, and some occasional penetration of alien flora and fauna. And currently, the global ecosystem of the Barents Sea functions in the established regime, so to speak. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mikhail. If there are in the room or online any questions or comments, you're welcome. We have to wait until the signal goes through. Okay. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. And further, we follow our program, and the next speaker with systematic analysis of requirements of Russian documents to plans of oil spill responses, joint presentation by chief researcher, doctor of geography, Anatoly Shavykin, and researcher Andrei Karnatov. The rendition will be made by Andrei Karnatov.
Hello, dear conference participants. The theme of our presentation is systematic analysis of the requirements of Russian legislative documents for the plans for prevention and recovery after oil spills. So for oil spills recovery in Russia, there is a unified state system for prevention and mitigation oil spills. So a part of it is a functional prevention system at sea. So this environment of this system and all the normative documents, they are considered on the picture on the slide, and the main document that follows this ecosystem is an order by Ministry for Transportation of the Russian Federation about creating this national ecosystem. And there are a number of other documents by the Ministry of Transportation about exercising the plans and about the first response forces. Another important document in this field is the governmental decree about rules for oil spills recovery and prevention. So these are the most important documents that I would like to tell you in my presentation. I would like to present the results of a large systematic analysis of these documents and the requirements to such plans that are set in the decrees and orders. So this is the functional internal structure of the plans at sea. You can see it on the slide. It is defined as managed by the orders of the Ministry of Transportation. And since the January 2021, this is not an obligatory document, though it has not been totally cancelled. So in brief, the structure can be described as follows. So shipping companies, all the port state authorities, they make oil spill recovery plans, and they also make regional federal plans. All those plans, they should go through a number of approvals in different state authorities. Exercises should be held, reports should be obtained. So all those procedures, all the plans are approved. So in the Arctic conditions, taken into consideration its fragility and how long it takes for the ecosystems to recover, it is especially important to have efficient ways to prevent the oil spills and to mitigate their impacts. So, of course, those plans for the Arctic conditions, they have huge importance for the environmental safety of the Arctic in the Russian Federation. So let's look at them from the point of view of systematic. For systematic analysis, we need to know what definition it has. We use the following definition. A system is a number of aims, the number of structures implementing those aims, and a number of technologies to implement the system, and the conditions for existence of the system. So what are the methods of systematic analysis? There is the structurization of the system and its aim analysis. So then we find the elements and analyze them. And synthesis, when we construct a new system. So this is the environment scheme for the plants. So you can see it on this slide, and you can see that according to all those creating systems for the operating organizations that are obligatory for shipping organization, fishing organization, and so on. So those rules from there are no the plans the requirement is only for the operating organization that are approved only after the exercises. But the aims of those plans and the aims of the first responders, there is no information. We look at this functional subsystem. So this has the following aims. It has to prevent the emergency, it has to increase the preparedness, and it has to ensure efficient use of means during the mitigation. So in this 523, when there are requirements, stating the requirements, it says that the first responders and the emergency services need to ensure works, monitoring, like all the having monitoring for the oil spills and forecasting their movement, localization of oil spills, and gathering the oil. So, but the concrete aims for the first responses and utilities, they are not set in the main plans. But as to the aims of the emergency rescue work, there are a number of other laws about the protection of the people. It has the definition of what is a liquidation situation. These are emergency rescue works that are directed towards saving lives and preserving health of people, mitigating the environment, and localization of emergency zones. So the requirement to the emergency operation is also set in the law number 151. Federal law, so taking into consideration all the requirements and general principles of the environmental protection and the strategies and the doctrines of conservation, one of the main goals in oil spill prevention that could be as follows. That is saving lives, mitigation the damage to the environment and nature, and also like human objects. So since we also don't have any aims in those plans, and there are no definitions for important things. Here you can see some items we would like to have in those plans and what is checked in the plan what is checked during the operation of emergency responders. So for the correct functioning of the documents and correctly organized operations, we need to have a clear understanding of all the notions used. For example, the rules here, they say that the mitigation of oil spills is oil spill recovery. It's just emergency oils, but it should be important to have special definition about the oil spills at sea. Then it would be easier to see the goals, what is happening with the oil spill. Also, there is no definition about liquidation and liquidation of oil spills. Although all those notions, they are defined in the documents of high level. Also, there is not a clear definition of construction and building. For example, like organizations who operate for some years, they should either have some exercises, but since there is no definition, the peer, what is the more inclined, and sometimes it leads to even court proceedings. There is no definition for forecasted spread zone. And that is also important because to calculate how many units we need to defend, what's the responsibility areas, and to calculate the fragility area. And but as I said, there is no requirement to have this map. Also, in the rules, we have definitions of coastal line, protection of the coastline as one of the points, and also the sea. But this definition defines properly, and there might be a number of questions. What does the waters include? If it's only like the surface of water, or if it's the bottom of water. So in these rules, we don't have many important definitions. Some of those they are not correct or not defined at all. Also, there are some drawbacks, as we believe that are important. So I would like to also briefly stop there. So, for example, there is no information about potential sources for oil, but there is nothing said about oil characteristics, and it would be important to have more detailed information about the characteristics than we normally have for transported oil. And the description of negative consequences, we don't see what is the basis, how wrong. So the text is probably not very informative when we are having this information and planning the rescue operations. So what is the basis of the activities of the responders? What's their aim? Just to gather the oil spills, to pick it up, or to do something else to minimize the risks of damage? And to calculate whether the forces are sufficient, we don't have any technologies or any requirements. How do we calculate? And talking about surveying the field area, also there is nothing said about what should be done to survey this area. And in the point about using different kinds of equipment for collecting the oil, collecting equipment, they depend on the oil characteristics. For example, if the oil has high viscosity, some means for gathering of oil may not be efficient. It is not mentioned in neither these or other documents. So also a number of things I would like to mention. Here you can see the blue points, those who are demanded, who are required to be present in this plan, and the yellow ones that are not required. So what could be done more efficient? For example, in case of an emergency situation, there is an information alarm that goes, and after the alarm goes, we get hydrometeorological observations and the forecasted spread zones, and then we define the activities of the responders, emergency response units, and for all of it to be able to operate, we need the following information. We need the information about weather conditions, technical movements, software for forecasting, and for that we need more detailed information on the oil characteristics And we also need more information about these maps, fragility maps, and we also need some kind of methods and guidelines for the response unit. But unfortunately, we don't have it written in the requirements of the government that is set by the law. So what are the main conclusions I would like to give after the analyzing those rules? These are the rules that need to be corrected and further developed. And for oil preparedness in the Arctic, we need to have the following things in place. We need to formulate the aims and objectives of the emergency response units, to give clear definitions what is an emergency preparedness plan is, to define the requirements for calculating what means units we need from the side of operation organizations, that is like the zones, areas and cleaning the coastal zones. Also, we need to formulate information support, that is guidelines, these fragility maps, and the software for modeling the area. We also need to include all of this into the form document. And after all those corrections into the oil mitigation plan, it would be good to have to correct the main document, this order of the Ministry of Transport on organizing functional ecosystem for oil prevention. So that is all. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Any questions if you have? So there were many. I cannot hear the question. No, I'm sorry, I don't hear the question. I can't hear the question. So yes, what I would like to mention. So the main document preventing this order by the Ministry of Transportation, it was changed in 2021, and what happened is that from the point of view if it should be taken into consideration or not. So there are no requirements. So the document has not been cancelled, but it's not like obligatory to change it. So yes, those points, they will improve the situation, but of course, do we need to improve something that is already working fine just because there are no requirements in some paper? Well, we believe to improve the situation. There is no requirements to oil characteristics, for example. And in the plans for the mitigation, there are some special, for example, means of gathering that do not take into consideration those characteristics. For example, in a special site, there might be a spill of oil that has special characteristics, and then you use the means that may not be efficient for gathering this particular kind of oil. And this is not like regulated in any kind of paper, like documents or. But may I just comment? Well, the aim of it, it's not formulated. The so, on the one side, so it means that we need to collect it somehow. So there are no maps, no requirements. And if we don't have any maps or requirements, so how would it influence? So we need to have some definition. Because yes, there has been some legal like cases when one organization told to some other organization something else, and like when during the oil transshipment something happened, and the other organization thought that they needed to have some something else, and the court could not decide what was happening because in one situation they said that they needed to have some complex plan, and in the other kind they needed some training exercise. Yes, there are no requirements, but there are no requirements for the observation and no requirements for the software for oil spill. So we are basing on our like practical experience, like how the oil would spread. Something goes down and it's not considered. So if there is some kind of damage to the bottom environment, and if we are ready only for the superficial like spread of oil on the surface, we are not taking into consideration its full damage to the environment. And the requirements to the potential like spread zone. It should be mentioning these zones where the oil is spreading, and there should be some border. So and then it's like who is responsible, which unit is responsible, because it can be like 20 square kilometers, and they need to have some technical means. So it's just something that is left. Okay, you can find it out yourself, like this. And there should be contracts and agreements between the operating organization and the response units, whether they are responsible for these 40 square kilometers or 10 kilometers. Because, for example, they can say, okay, it's not our responsibility area, we won't go there, like that. So there are many examples that can be mentioned, but as a simple example, at sea, there is this plan of protecting the coastline. And if those protectors, they didn't manage to come on time, and the oil is already on land, and it's spreading several, maybe 100 meters on land. Who is going to clean it up? Who is going to clean this spill? And they say, sorry, we don't have the technical equipment. Yeah, it's different equipment that should be used on shore. Let it just stay there. We cannot do anything about it. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to give the clear tasks to the response units. And if they don't have any clear tasks, so they are not fulfilling their like task in mitigating the spill. Yes. um, And again, oh yes, yes, I would like to continue the question. I have a following question. Yes, you have found many drawbacks in the existing system, but do you have any ideas on how to formulate these clear definitions? Maybe if you have a list of definitions that you think is we should introduce in the legislation. And the critical analysis with ideas for suggestions. What kind of technologies should be used? For example, in this oil spill recovery legislation. Yes, we can say that all those all those definitions they are existing, but they are not included in the documents, in the acts, and there is we don't like kind of don't there's nothing that where to take them from, and but some definitions are taken from different sources. So what definition should be taken from which source? It's not mentioned. For example, about oil spill recovery, we can take it from different sources, from the federal law on emergency. Yes, there are different definitions, as I said, in many acts and many laws, but it's not correct to use it like this. Just another important issue. We are talking about coastal line. So what is a coastal line? It can be like for the sea, it's something else. It's like 20 meters. For the river area and ponds and so on, it's different. So it's like water protection area. And actually, it has no relation to oil spills recovery, but it is used in that legislation. So we need to take half of the definitions from the legislation, but some other things they need. So maybe we could include so we suggested to work it through, like clearly, thoroughly. And all the suggestions are sent on all levels to the parliament, to the public chamber, to the governors, everywhere, to the state government, but they are not interested. Maybe there are no concrete ideas. Maybe instead of that, as a scientist, like if you get, for example, how do you write reviews on the article? Maybe, oh, it's a bad article. And of course, it's better to have like when it's not only criticism but also concrete ideas for how it could be improved, and then it goes much better. Yes, On the last slide, we saw it. Like it was an idea, like things that are missing that we would like to have. What else? So some definitions can be used this way, and if you do something like this, so we needed to have a discussion. I wanted to have a discussion, but if we work it through, it would be like, several pages long and not 20 minutes long. So, yeah. Thank you. Very interesting presentation that caused a lot of discussion, and that's very good. Then we have it allows us to reach some kind of new ideas. So our next presentation is on the Polar Botanic Institute, but unfortunately, the speaker, Denis Davidov, told us that we would not be able to present. Instead of him, we will have the director of FOPSI, Evgeny Borovichov. He is online with us. Is he? We can't hear him.
Dear colleagues, I would like to discuss it with you. Shall we follow the agenda or we make a technical break so that the interpreters get some break and we will resume at 11:10 Moscow time. Thank you. Dear colleagues, we resume our work, and our next speaker will be able to join us a bit later. That's why we will go down to the keynote report of the next session, which is the People's Republic of China. Last year, an agreement for cooperation was signed with China, and last year we had our Chinese colleagues with their presentation, and this year they will talk about Chinese research in the Arctic and Antarctic by Deputy Director, Doctor of Science, Deng Bixi. Mr. Deng Bixi, the microphone is yours. Deng Bixi, is your microphone on? Can you hear us? The interpreter cannot hear you.
So thank you, Dennis, for inviting me to this seminar. And as requested by the director of PIC, I'd like to give you a brief introduction on China's current expedition activities in Arctic and Antarctic. So China located in the mid-latitude of the Northern Hemisphere, and China self-claimed itself as a near-Arctic country and an Arctic stakeholder. Because China is significantly impacted by the cold air activities and atmospheric circulation changes in high latitude. So Arctic and Antarctic scientific research is of foremost importance for China to understand how the interactions between the polar ocean and the polar atmosphere, as well as ice sheet and sea level, that may affect the environment of China. As you may know, that we call the Chinese exhibition the Chinese National Arctic and Antarctic Research Expedition, CHINARE, and this is organized by Polar Research Institute and the Chinese Arctic and Antarctic Administration jointly. That the two institutes are afflicted to the Ministry of Natural Resources of China. We also have a National Polar Science Committee that includes top scientists from China giving scientific instructions, as well as a CHINARE advisory committee that consists of 17 ministries and agencies that are related to polar affairs. So Polar Research Institute of China is a national research center for Arctic and Antarctic science, technology, and policy studies, and also a national operator for the research expeditions. It has a responsibility to conduct Arctic and Antarctic environmental monitoring and protection. On the other hand, we have the Chinese Arctic and Antarctic Administration. Its primary function is to organize and administration and drafting polar policy, law, and long-term plans. So that is more like a administrative organization, and the PISA is the operator and the
Excuse me,
research.
Mr. Bixi, can you please switch on your presentation? We cannot see it. It would be really nice to have.
Unfortunately, we cannot see your presentation. Is there something we can do?
So, interpreter, can I be
Yes.
seen or heard?
Yeah, we cannot see you, but we
Yes,
can,
we can see
hear
and
you,
hear.
and
Yes,
we
loud
can
and
see
clear.
your presentation now, I think.
So can I, if I'm seeing or heard?
Yes, but currently we can see your camera rather than your presentation.
Yes, we can hear you, and we just saw your presentation a second ago. Now we don't
We can see
Now
your
it
face, but not
disappeared.
your presentation.
Now we see it. Now we see the presentation. You can please
Now it's
continue.
good. Let's go on.
So I will continue to the milestones of in China's Arctic and Antarctic research expedition. So this year marks the 40 years of China's research in the polar region, and as the first Antarctic expedition starting from 1984. So far, China has conducted 14 Arctic Ocean expeditions. The first Arctic expedition starting in 1999, and also 20 expeditions in Arctic Yellow River Station, which is located in Svalbard, Norway, and 4 expeditions to China Iceland Arctic Scientific Research Station that is located in Northern Iceland. And on the contrary, we have 40 Antarctic expeditions starting from 1984, and each year there is the annual expedition. With regard to the research priority, the main theme is the Arctic change and its tele-impact on mid-latitude, because China is situated in the mid-latitude. Investigation priority, including onboard sampling, ice camp sampling, bottom mooring, and EVU measurements. In this picture, you can see the routine voyage route and study area of China's Arctic expedition in the Arctic Ocean. So we conduct the sea ice observation, oceanography, study and monitoring the marine pollution, and conducting bioecology survey that mainly in Chukchi Sea and the Canadian Basin. And we did the marine geologic and the geophysical studies in the areas near the Gecko Ridge. And also atmospheric science are conducted on land-based research station, which is the Yellow River Station in Svalbard and the China Iceland Arctic Scientific Research Station in Iceland. And with regard to China's presence in Svalbard, as I mentioned, is the Yellow River Station, and research topics include solar terrestrial physics, meteorology, marine biology, glaciology, etc. And this is inconsistent with China's right that accorded by the Svalbard Treaty, and China engaged in international cooperation in Svalbard, namely NUSMAC, the New Orleans Scientific Management Committee, and China participates in the Svalbard Integrated Observation System. With related to Antarctic, that we have organized 40 Antarctic expeditions, and we have constructed the infrastructure in Antarctic, which is a very comprehensive supporting system that includes 2 icebreaker, the Xuelong and Snow Dragon and Snow Dragon 2. We have 3 year-round station and 2 summer station, a aircraft and 3 helicopter and an inland fleet. The main study area for China in Antarctic or Southern Ocean are primarily focused on the Southwest Wilder Sea, the Cosmonaut Sea, the Priest Bay, and Amundsen Sea, as well as Ross Sea. And on the research in Arctic Ocean, sea ice observation, oceanography, marine geology, marine pollutants, and the bioecosystem are studied. And with regard to the 5 stations, that the Great Wall Station was established in 1989, which is located in the Antarctic Peninsula, to conduct research mainly on environment and its ecological response. And there has also studied on the response of ecosystem to human activities. On the opposite side of the East Antarctic is Zhongshan Station, established in 1989. Its main research subjects are the monitoring and observation of ice sheet and the oceanography investigated in Priest Bay, as well as space physics and cosmology observation. From Zhongshan Station, we connect by inland transport via Taishan Station. So this is the basics for the connection between Zhongshan Station and the inland station, the Kunlun Station. And some research are conducted there. For example, the mountain expedition in the Grove Mountain area, and also scientific research are conducted in glacier meteorology and space physics. And Kunlun Station is of very high latitude, that over 3,000 meters high. And the study are conducted in ice core, subglacial geology, as well as space physics. The new station, the newly established station of Qinling Station, also are going to be year-round operating. It's newly built in early this year in February, and it has a main building, a laboratory supporting for oceanography, space physics, meteorography, atmosphere, etc. And wind and hydrogen energy are widely used in this station. There has been some research progress for China. It's progressing very steadily, and more than 40 papers have been published in Nature and Science. And there has been some breakthrough in polar earth science, ecology, astronomy, and space physics. We calculate the publication of ICI paper for the past 20 years. That has been a steady progress by China. Now it's ranked 7th with regard to the number of CSI paper published. there has been some breakthrough, as I mentioned. For example, the understanding of climate and environmental changes, including the sea ice origin, acidification in the Arctic and the Southern Ocean. That this is an example of the study of origin and early evolution of Antarctic sea ice, and the study on the ocean acidification in the Arctic and Antarctic Ocean, that some of the publishment or research are conducted during the international program. For example, the Mosaic. There has been study on heat storage and exchanges in Southern Ocean and space physics. On board the Xuelong and the Xuelong 2 as the snow dragon for its English name, there has been many scientific facilities. For example, the scientific fish detector, the temperature and salinity observation facilities, and facilities to the depth meter, and also facilities to navigation acoustic. You can see from this picture that how scientific research are conducted. They are both like submersible boryard, and also which are connected to onboard facility and satellite. There are also helicopter that can help to build ice camp in the Arctic Ocean. That PRIC or China foster international cooperation. The PRIC has been very actively engaged in some regional and multilateral cooperation. The three regimes are initiated by PRIC. These are the Asian Forum for Polar Science, AFOPS, the Pacific Arctic Group, and the China Nordic Arctic Research Center. And China has also been actively engaged in international cooperation. For example, the Mosaic, the Antarctic Aviation Scientific Research, and the Joint Arctic Scientific Mid-Ocean Ridge Insight Expedition JASMINE, the United Nations Decades of Ocean Science, and Joint Observation of Inland Antarctic, etc. That China has, PRIC has made cooperation agreement with multiple institutes of Arctic stakeholders, and the most recent cooperation agreement has been made with the Murmansk Marine Biological Institute of the Russian Academy of Science. Is agreement for both parties to make joint scientific observation and research cooperation. The last part will dedicate to the prospect of China-Russia polar cooperation. That actually in May this year, there has been the joint statement of the two countries on deepening the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership in the new era on occasion of 75th anniversary of establishment of bilateral relations. Arctic cooperation has been highlighted. For example, the two parties agreed to establish a joint subcommittee on Arctic shipping under the framework of the dialogue between the prime minister of the two countries. And also, the two countries has committed to strengthening cooperation on Arctic research. So Arctic affairs become a very important issue and on the agenda of the bilateral cooperations. And in the future, that or based on the experience that China and Russia are sharing facilities, data, and resources in the ongoing research and cooperation. For example, we have several Russian scientists on board the Snowdragon in this year's Arctic expedition. And also in the future, we are looking forward that, for example, the Snowflake Station in Nyanyas region and the North Pole floating platform that Russia is operating since 2022, that can be open for Chinese scientists. We are also understand that due to the politicalization of Arctic scientific research, the work, for example, and the platform of the Arctic Council Working Group, AXA Group, or Task Force has been affected, and Russian participation has been somehow limited. So we're also looking forward to some new cooperation under the new platform, for example, the BRICS Plus framework. And we have just last week in Kazan, the ground summits of BRICS. And I think scientific cooperation, especially cooperation on polar region, could be discussed under such platform, especially with regard to Antarctic. We have several partners like Brazil, Argentina, and India. They are actually very active as stakeholder in the Antarctic. And also we noticed that Russia is proposing the International Arctic Research Station in Barentsburg, Svalbard. And this is a very intriguing idea for China and other BRICS countries. And finally, I want to say that that we need more international involvement and engagement and international coordination. And I don't think the scientific research cooperation should be politicalized by Western countries. And that maybe there has been, there could be some joint initiative that China and Russia could propose in the coming International Polar Year 2032 to 2033. And as far as I know, such cooperation, the planning of such cooperation has been underway, and several countries are proposing, for example, ICAP, the 10-year plan for the coming International Polar Year. And the International Polar Year could be a very good platform to break the ice. And as we recall, back in 1959, 1960s, during the third International Polar Year, during the context of the Cold War, the International Polar Year successfully held and facilitated the signature of the Antarctic Treaty. And so we look forward to the upcoming International Polar Year that could have the similar foundation to reunited the international scientific community that both China and Russia are included. So I think I will finish my presentation, and maybe we will have some Russian colleagues to introduce the bilateral cooperation on board this year's Arctic Ocean expedition on Snowdragon 2. Yeah, thank you.
Many thanks, and Vasily, for very interesting presentation, and especially about the research, the Chinese research in Arctic and Antarctic, and the perspectives of Russian, Finnish, Russian, Chinese polar research. So if we have any questions in the room, yes, I have a question from St. Petersburg. Hello. Do you want me to ask it in English, in Russian? In Russian, we can translate. Do you have plans to build new science research icebreakers, for example, is Shillong 1 or 2?
Sorry, what is question? Shillong 1 or 2?
Is there plans to build new icebreakers like these? Do you have to build icebreakers like this?
Of course, there has plan, but we don't know exactly the number and the time for building such new icebreakers. So there has not been the number of new icebreaker of timeline to build it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And this year, the Chinese delegation visited the station of Marine Biological Institute in Warrensburg in Spitsbergen. And also the Snow Dragon 2 also visited Murmansk. And it brought this research group on board, and then it worked on the Russian waters and places. So we had Russian scientists from ocean geology, and we have the head engineer from the Ecology. He will present the presentation about the research they had. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we are just waiting for you to start your presentation, to share your screen. Yes, we can see your presentation. So, dear colleagues, starting from 2008, almost every year we have Chinese Arctic expeditions, which are called scenarios. So these are multidisciplinary research of the northern Arctic Ocean, and these are archaeological, biological, and oceanological research. In 2023, we got invited to take part in the second part of Chinari 14. This was a joint Arctic research expedition when we were studying Arctic joint Arctic inside expedition, or Jasmine 2. We were also on board of the Long 2. The specialization of this Jasmine was the complex geophysical and geological research on the Gakkel Ridge. I should say that the preparatory work started in the end of 2023 when the concept of new expedition was developed. It was a good team of Russian scientists and organizing an international scientific team in one of the ports of the Russian Federation. This kind of approach allowed to increase the time of the research in the Gakkel Ridge. So until the beginning of summer 2024, we discussed all the organizational issues and scientific and research programs, including the ideas of the Russian side. And in June this year, vessel arrived to Murmansk, and then we had a crew change there, like a scientist change, and got new scientists who were working. So there was a new research team, including 26 scientists, including 9 Russian scientists. During this voyage, we had different kinds of research, multi-ecosound surveys, gravity surveys, magnetic survey, and in one of the stations we had also gas and water sampling, sediment sampling, and also research for possibilities for using drones for aviation, like for drone film shooting. The equipment was provided by the Chinese sponsor. The seismic use was used with ocean water seismometers and strong seismometer with a total capacity of 130 meters. So they were used a broad range of seismic waves, different kinds of surface, and they can operate in different kinds of depths from 6 to 9 kilometers, depending on their model. And the electromagnetic survey was made by magnetic research using OBM stations with a operating depth up to 6 kilometers. Those types of stations are close up, and the idea was to find the structure of the top area and to find the areas to see the division between the little structure and the important structures. We have taken different kinds of samples for research geothermal processes to find active or non-active areas of the bottom. And during the just-in-two expedition, we got unique materials and new experience of doing works in harsh conditions of the high Arctic latitudes, also experience of organizing joint expedition with our Chinese colleagues. So I should mention some challenges in organization that we haven't connected with choosing the ABA for crew change. We considered a number of ports on the coastline, for example, Murmansk, Tiksi, Vivek, Providение, or another. So despite the fact that nearest ports are in Tiksi or Vivek, so due to some challenges that we have with getting foreign vessels, foreign citizens, and bunkering fuel and getting supplies and food. So we chose the only possible solution in the Arctic, Russian Arctic in Murmansk. And also special attention should be paid to the vessel itself belongs to. This is IC class vessel with hybrid diesel-electric power station. It can allow up to 15 knots in speed, and it can go autonomously for 90 days. It was built in 2019 for scientific research, and it has a number of peculiarities like specifics. Some of them are constructive, and some of them linked with technological supply. First one is that it has a very huge power deck, which is up to about 4 meters from waterline. It has moon pools. It has huge side gates on the right side of the vessel, and it allows safely and easily to rig up and down expensive equipment, especially in the Arctic conditions. So on the deck, you can place many containers with equipment and ready labs that can be connected to all the necessary supply systems of the vessel. Also, on the up deck, there are 3 cranes. Small crane, depending on the length of it, can take up to from 4 to 6 tons. There is a portal crane, with up to 30 tons, and the big one up to 24 tons. So two first ones, they are operated remotely operated. That allows to operate them very precisely and very safely. Also on the vessel, we have a number of labs, so-called dry labs, geophysical labs, and wet labs for waters, stones, and biological samples. Also, we have low temperature labs. Geophysical laboratory has a number of monitors where they can see all the information from the research equipment. So we hope that in Russian scientific fleet, we will one day have similar vessels. Russian-Chinese meetings that we had both before the departure and also on board the vessel, we discussed the perspectives for the cooperation. Both sides expressed their wish to have such Russian-Chinese expedition to have geological survey. So in the end, I would like to say that we are very grateful to Chinese colleagues who is in not like Western countries that they adhere the principles that allow Russian scientists to take part in such expeditions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. Do we have any questions from the room here or maybe from our online participants? Yes, I have a question. Maybe it would be also interesting for other participants. Could you please tell us how do you, what papers were needed to board the foreign vessel to join? What do you mean, what papers are needed? What kinds of papers do Russian participants need to join a foreign vessel and to work on it? Like a passport, a travel passport, and a medical examination. Like travel passport and medical examination. Yes, basically. And then it depends, of course, on the organization where you work, how your organization, what documents are needed inside your organization to have. Like somebody had it as a field work, somebody had it as a business trip. So the kinds of documents is much easier than, for example, if you need to join a Russian vessel. Well, yeah, it's not difficult. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? One more for the question. Unfortunately.
Yeah, may I have a question?
Вопрос, у нас есть вопрос. Yes, please.
Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah, this is Lamushen from PIC China. Hello, Ilya. It's good to see you again here online. After we met a month ago on board the Shalom 2, I'm very glad to hear you, and it's a very, very nice presentation. I have a question. Do you have a plan about the Jasmine 3 cruise together with SIO?
Can you please repeat? What do we have? I missed the spot.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to ask Dr. Ilya, do you have a program like Jasmine 3 together with Sector Institute of Oceanography Institute? Because we know you have Jasmine 1 and Jasmine 2 this year, and do you have another program or cooperation cruise like Jasmine 3?
Yes, we also spoke about this. Yes, we have vessels like this. We have similar vessels like academic Fyodorov. In fact, it's similar to Shulong 1. Basically, they are like twin brothers. So yes, we have similar vessels. Yes, we have. That's the answer in brief.
Yeah, I know. Of course, Russia has a similar very good power icebreakers. I just want to know, do you have any other programs, scientific programs like Jasmine 2 or Jasmine 3, the international cooperation programs, together with China or Chinese research terms? In the future years.
Yes, we always keep it in mind. And if they are still on the development stage, so to say, those plans. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In St. Petersburg, there was launched a new vessel, Ivan Frolov. He's telling about new vessels that were built. Ivan Frolov is very similar. It's a new vessel and totally modern, and it's going to be built in the nearest years. As to the research, of course, we expect, we hope that we will have new oceanography. That is what we are doing. So the colleagues said that it's quite easy to join your vessel. So we hope that our participants will discuss it. So we will have new research together with the Chinese. So our participants from the Kola Center, they will not be able to join us. They will join us tomorrow. So now let's make a short break until 7:20 Beijing time and 12:20 Oslo time and 11:20. So it's 2 hours break now. And we will meet back to listen to the presentation about the development of the Northern Sea Route and to listen to the presentation of our colleague, Professor Bjørn Nystad from Norway. Thank you and see you in 2 hours.